In today's session, we are going to discuss about reading CSV file by using pandas. How to read a CSV file by using pandas is, so there is one method, read underscore CSV, which is used to read a CSV file in pandas. First, I need to import pandas. Import pandas as PD. So PD is nothing but renaming pandas. After importing pandas, so we can read it by using read underscore CSV method. For this method, the attribute we need to provide is the file name. File name. So which CSV file you are going to read, you need to give that file path. So then it will create a data frame for this. It will create a data frame. And I will show you the different operations what we can perform on the data frame. So open Jupyter Notebook. So I have created one folder, pandas examples. In that I'm typing CMD, it will open directly that folder in command prompt. Type Jupyter space notebook to open the notebook. Type Jupyter space notebook. Jupyter space notebook. It will open the Jupyter notebook. Here type new Python 3. It will open the cells where we are going to write the programs. First, you need to import pandas as PD. So PD is nothing but renaming that pandas as PD. Now, in pandas, there is a method called as read underscore CSV. So mention the file path. So I will use some CSV file which is available with me. It will create a data frame. It will create a data frame. Here I am using read underscore CSV method to read a CSV file. I have one CSV file in this path. I will take that CSV file. Mention that file name here. In this path, I have one CSV file, ign.csv, ign.csv file. You can take any CSV file. The process is same. I will show you what are the different operations we can perform on CSV file. Once if you read, it will construct a data frame. A data frame already we discussed in the previous sessions. A data frame is nothing but two-dimensional data structure which is having rows and columns. See here, to display DF, here it will display rows and columns. It is a like table-like structure. It is like table-like structure. Next, after reading a data frame, how to see the shape of the data frame? So to see the shape of the data frame, there is one attribute, shape attribute, which will display the shape of that data frame. Go to Jupyter Notebook, df.shape. See here, there are 1001 rows and 8 columns. So to know the shape of the data frame, shape attribute, and this shape attribute only I can separate. Sometimes I need only rows, sometimes I need only columns. So how to separate this? See here, rows comma columns equal to df.shape print rows and print columns. Execute this. Columns, spelling mistake, whatever the columns we have, same name we need to give here. Execute this. So 1001 rows and 8 columns. Once after constructing a data frame, if I wanted to see only top 5 rows, so there is one special function is there. So head function in pandas, which will display top 5 records. Top 5 records. See here, my data frame is df dot head method. Execute this. You can find top 5 rows. Top 5 rows. And if I want only top one row, so df dot head method, if I wanted to read only top one row, give one, it will display only top one record. If I wanted to display top three records, so head of three, it will display top three records. Like this, there is one more option in pandas. There is a tail method, which will display last five records. Last five records, which will display last five records. See here, df dot tail method, execute this. You can see last five records in data frame. Like that, if I wanted to display only last record, so I can give tail of one, it will display only last record. Now, so there is one more way how to access the records. These are giving head and tail. Either they are giving top records or last records. If I wanted to access some intermediate records, if I wanted to access some intermediate records, then we can do slicing operation. Slicing operation is nothing but, see here, so data frame and start index colon end index. Start index colon end index. Here I can specify start index where I need to get the records, where I need to start reading the records, and up to which record I want the details. So go to Jupyter Notebook again, def start index. For example, I wanted the records from 10 until some 25. So print this 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. If you see here 24. So what it will do in slicing is it will exclude the last index. It will exclude last index, exclude last index. Means if I give 25, it will print up to 24. If I need 25 also, then I need to give 26. See here, go and check. If I give it 26, then it will print up to 25th record. Now, I wanted to know what are the different columns present in this data frame. Here, if you see here in the screen, it is displaying some 5, 6 columns. Here, there may be lot of columns will be there. A lot of columns may be present in the real-time data set. There may be hundreds of columns. How to know the columns in a data frame is one attribute df.columns, df.columns, which will display all the columns which are present in this data set, data frame. The score phase, title, URL, score, genre, release year, release month, release day, and it is object. So this df.columns which will display all the columns which are present in the data frame. And next use case, I need to retrieve. So first I will open this data set. See here. So this is my data set, score, phase, and title, URL, score, genre, release year, release month, and release day. So out of this, in the title, I wanted to retrieve some few titles. I wanted to retrieve only titles. So previously, if I give the data frame like this, data frame of some 2 to 10 means it is retrieving all the column values. But out of this, in the title, I wanted to retrieve some few titles. Some 2 to 4 titles I wanted to retrieve. 2 to 10 titles I wanted to retrieve. So then, so df dot, the column name is title. So be cautious while giving the names. Whatever the names in this, the data frame, same name, title, means case also it should match. If it is a capital letter, it should be capital letter because Python is completely case sensitive. So while giving the name, give the same name. If I give something capital also, it won't work. So whatever the title means, whatever the case is there, you have to give the same case. And in title, I wanted to retrieve some 2 to 10 titles. If I give here, it will exclude the 10th index. It will print up to 9 only. So execute this. You can see the 2 to 9 titles plus and NHL 13 and this. So this total war battles means up to 9th index it is retrieving. If I need 10th index also, here I need to give 11. So then it will retrieve up to 10th index. So this is retrieving particular column by using splice operation. And how to know the type of each column? Here if you see, so the different columns is there: score, phase, title, URL, score, genre, release year, release month. So different columns are there. I wanted to know, so what is the type of URL column. So there is a method called as type, and in the data frame for URL column, I wanted to know the type of URL column. The URL column type I wanted to know. So then shift execute. It is a series. It is series. It is series. And here I wanted to display previously, if you see here, df dot title of 2 to 10 or 2 to 5, something I wanted to print 2 to 5. It is printing only title. But if I wanted to print multiple columns with a slice operation, means I wanted to print a title as well as URL for that title and score of that title. I wanted to print these 3 columns by using slice operation. See here. So df is my data frame, and in this data frame, I need to use that list, means whatever the columns I want. One is score I want, and title I want. Title I wanted to retrieve, as well as I wanted to retrieve URL for that title. So like this, out of this title URL, I wanted to retrieve only 2 to 5 columns. So score, title, URL columns. Out of those also, I don't want all the records. Just I wanted to retrieve from 2 to 5 means 2, 3, 4 records I want. Execute this. You can see score of this title and URL of that title. So like this, if I give the list, only this list columns and with this specified rows, it will retrieve from the data frame. And similarly, so there are a lot of operations I can perform on this data frame. For example, if you see score is some integer column, I wanted to find what is the maximum score or what is the minimum score. See here, I wanted to find the maximum score. The next use case is from this table. So find what is the maximum score. What is the maximum score? See here, my data frame is df and score is my column. And in this column, I wanted to find the max value. The function I'm going to use is max function. Execute this. It will display the maximum value in that score column. And if I want a minimum score, df of score column dot min, which will retrieve minimum score in that column. And I wanted to find mean value of that score column. I wanted to find mean score of that column. Dot mean, which will retrieve mean score of that column. And all statistical operations, I wanted to find standard deviation of that score column. So there is one method called as std method, which will give standard deviation of that column. And I wanted to find mean, so mean is already over. So like this, so we can perform lot of operations on that columns. And there is one special function on the data frame, describe method. So df dot describe method, describe method, df dot describe method. Execute this. See here, it will give total count of the rows in that particular column, not null values, and also what is the mean, what is the standard deviation, what is the min, max value, 75%, 50%, and 25% of that column. For which columns it will display all this count, mean, standard deviation, min, 25%, and max values is for only integer or float columns. If I see here, the score contains floating values, a release year contains integer values, release month, and release date. Only for these columns it will provides output. Means if it is an integer and float columns, for those only it is able to calculate what is the mean, max, min, and all those values. STD 75%, 25%, and 50%. For a character, it is not possible. Means I cannot find what is the mean of this character column. Only it is applicable for float and integer columns. If you observe the output, it is giving output for score, release year, release month, and release date. And it is one of the basic parameter. Count is a basic parameter in machine learning. So based on this, what I can do means how many null values are present. For example, here it is showing 1001, 1001, 1001 in all the columns, but sometimes there will be some missing values in the Excel. For example, what I will do here is I will remove something. See here, just save this file, read again, where I'm reading this CSV file. So go and read again. Execute that statement again. So df.describe. See here, I have removed some columns, some rows values in release year. If you see here, release year, I removed some values. Nothing but null values, empty values in that column. What is the advantage of by using this count is while pre-processing data, first I need to analyze how many columns having null values. First I need to fill or remove those null value rows or I need to fill those null value rows. Then I can process remaining process in machine learning. So this is one of the important measure in machine learning. So just I will undo this again. I will read. See here, I will read again. Now you can find 1001 rows in release here also. Execute this again. Execute again describe method. Now you can find 1001 rows. What is the advantage means? While pre-processing the data, if I wanted to know the null values, then I can use this count measure. So df.describe method, which is used to describe the complete data frame, and so which will describe for means float values and integer values. Next, if I wanted to select, this is my data frame df. Out of this, I don't want all the records. I want the records which is having maximum score, means greater than 9 or 9.5. I wanted to retrieve the records, means for example, if I wanted to go for some movie or some other place, first I wanted to score, means what is the score given to that movie. So based on that, means for example, if I take a rating for a movie, which is having out of 5 some 4.9 or 4.8, only those films I wanted to move. I have that data set. I can filter the records. I can go for the best movie. Like this, in this is a gaming data. For these games, I wanted to find which the games which are having more than 9.5 score. So df of score, which will retrieve all the score column, but I don't want all the records. The records which is having score is greater than 9.5. So the score is greater than 9.5. I wanted to find all those records. See here. So this is data frame. In this data frame, I need to find the records which is having the data frame of score greater than 9.5. Execute this. See here, if you see the score column, all the records having 9.6, 9.8, 9.7, 9.8, and so on 9. For example, I wanted to retrieve only 9 point greater than 9.7 records. I can filter. So based on my requirement, I can filter. Here I found only some 4 games which is having storage greater than 9.8. And I can set index. There is one biggest advantage in data frame. There is one biggest advantage in data frame. We can set custom index. We can set custom index. Here, if you see here, by default, it is giving something 200 sequential. It is giving so starting from 0, and it is giving 1, 2, 3, 4 sequential. It is incrementing index. But I don't want the index some sequential numbers. I want the index as this title. Means based on the title only directly I will put an index. If I like some game, some XYZ game I like, I wanted to search only the details. I can set the index, custom index as title. Based on the title, I can search this data frame. How to set the index for the data frame is df dot, there is one method called as set index method, which is used to set the index for the data frame. For example, I wanted to set title as index, set index title. See here, there is one more attribute is there. First, I will execute this. Here, I am getting title as an index. Previously, if it is 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on, sequential values. Now, if you see the index, it is title. But execute again, whether it is really set as index as a title. See here, no. So why means directly it will not affect in data frame. If I want, it should be effect in a data frame. See here, one attribute is there, set index method. Title I wanted to keep it as a index, and there is one attribute in place equal to true, which will display the see here. So df dot title. So by default, it will means it will change in data frame also. Print data frame now. It will replace title as a index. Wherever I will use now, I can use title as index. So this is about how to read a CSV file. What are the different operations I can perform on a CSV file? In the next session, we will see some other topics, friends. We will meet at the next session. So thank you, friends.